The moment the church doors opened, I knew the eyes weren't just on me. They were searching for answers. The whispers stopped. The music stumbled into silence. And, at the altar, Daniel froze. Before I continue, bring your bowl of popcorn, seat tight, let's ride together. This story will definitely shock you. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Silent Tears TV for more true life stories with moral lessons. He thought today was going to be his victory, his perfect revenge, his way of reminding me what I lost. But what he didn't know was that I hadn't come to play his game. I had come to end it. And in my hand, I carried the one thing that would leave his perfect world in pieces. It was an ordinary Tuesday, the kind of day where nothing changes. I had just come back from the market, my hands heavy with grocery bags, my mind on the laundry I'd left in the washer. That's when I saw it. An envelope in my mailbox. It was thick, gold embossed, with my name written in handwriting I hadn't seen in 3 years, but could never forget. Daniel, my ex-husband. I stood there, the afternoon sun beating down on my shoulders, just staring at it. When I finally tore it open, there it was. An invitation, a church address,
A date, a time.
2 names, his and hers. No note. No, hope you're well.
No explanation.
But I didn't need one. Daniel wasn't the kind of man who did things without a reason. And I knew this reason. Oh, I knew it too well. This wasn't kindness. This was cruelty, wrapped in gold foil. You see, Daniel had always been the kind of man who needed to win. When we met, I was 23, bright-eyed, and ready to give my whole heart to someone. He was charming, the kind of man who knew exactly what to say, to make you feel like the only person in the room. I fell hard. At first, marriage was everything I dreamed of. Flowers on Fridays, late-night talks over takeout, plans for a house with a garden. But slowly, things began to change. The flowers stopped. The talks became arguments. The plans turned into accusations. That I wasn't enough. That I wasn't ambitious enough. That I was holding him back. And then, there was the day he didn't come home. I was 3 months pregnant. I hadn't told him yet. I wanted to wait for the perfect moment. That night, he came home smelling of expensive perfume. That wasn't mine. When I confronted him, he didn't deny it. He just looked at me with cold, flat eyes and said, "Maybe I just found someone who knows what she wants." And just like that, the life I thought we had shattered. The divorce was brutal, not just because of the lawyers or the money. I didn't have to fight him, but because of the way he enjoyed watching me struggle. He left me with nothing. No house.
No savings.
And worst of all, no acknowledgement of the baby I was carrying. I tried to tell him. He didn't listen. He signed the papers and disappeared. Those years were the hardest of my life. I worked 2 jobs. I slept 4 hours a night. I raised my son with every ounce of love I had, because I refused to let him feel unwanted. Michael came into our lives when my son was 2. He wasn't just a partner. He was a safe place. He loved my boy like his own, and for the first time in years, I felt steady again. Daniel never called, never sent a letter, never asked, until that invitation came. At first, I thought about throwing it away. Why walk into a room full of people who probably knew me as the ex? Why let him have the satisfaction of seeing me standing there, alone, looking like I'd lost? But then, something in me shifted. I wasn't alone. I wasn't broken. And maybe it was time.
For Daniel to see that.
So I made the call to Michael. When I told him, he just smiled and said, "If you're going, we're going together." The day of the wedding was warm and bright. I wore a navy dress, elegant, fitted. The kind of dress that says nothing and everything at the same time. Michael wore a black suit that looked like it had been tailored just for him. And my son, my sweet boy, wore a little gray vest and tie. He held my hand tightly as we walked to the car. I could feel my heart beating faster the closer we got to that church. The cathedral was massive. Sunlight poured through stained glass windows, casting colors across polished marble floors. The guests were stunning. Designer suits, gowns that shimmered under the light, laughter that echoed off the high ceilings. Daniel stood at the altar in a tuxedo that looked like it belonged on a magazine cover. Beside him, Sophie glowed in white lace, the picture of perfection. And then I saw it. Daniel kept glancing at the doors, waiting. When the music softened, I stepped inside. The heavy oak doors creaked open. Sunlight spilled across the aisle. Michael walked beside me, calm and unshaken. In my other hand, my son clutched my fingers. The whispers began instantly. "Is that her? Who's the kid? Oh my God." Daniel's face shifted. First confusion, then realization. We stopped in the front pew. Daniel's eyes locked on my son. And there it was. The unmistakable recognition. Same eyes, same chin, same stubborn tilt of the head. Sophie turned to him,
Confused.
I took a breath and spoke loud enough for the room to hear. "Say hello to your son." The air went still. Sophie's face drained of color. "What?" she whispered. Daniel opened his mouth, but I didn't give him the chance. "You left me 3 months pregnant, Daniel. You knew, and you walked away. For years you've missed. For years you can't get back." The guests were frozen. Some looked shocked. Some looked disgusted. "You invited me here to humiliate me," I continued. "But you can't humiliate someone who has already survived you." Sophie turned to Daniel. "Is this true?" she demanded.
He stammered.
"It's complicated." "No," I said, my voice steady. "It's simple. You chose yourself over your own child." Sophie stepped back from him. Her hands were trembling. The whispers grew louder. Phones were out. People were recording. I didn't stay for the rest. I didn't need to see Sophie's decision. I didn't need to hear Daniel's excuses. I turned. Michael was right there, his hand warm on my back. My son's small fingers still wrapped around mine. As we stepped into the sunlight outside, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Freedom. Daniel had tried to script my humiliation, but instead, he became the author of his own downfall. And me? I walked away with my dignity intact, my son beside me, and a life I wouldn't trade for his perfect wedding, or anything in it.